Good morning. Welcome to Detox. No, I wasn't trying to be smart. Uh, yeah, I mean, it's okay to be in detox, isn't it? There's some worse places. I don't know about you, but the other places we end up are like jail. Um, so how many times have you overdosed and they Narcaned you and you came to? Yeah. So being in detox isn't so bad, is it? It's not bad. Um, yeah, difficulty sleeping, normal. Yeah, people are pain in the ass. That's right. That's right. The tech, I know her. Yeah, she's difficult. It's okay. It's okay. I'm glad you're here. So what's going on? Pissed off at your parents because they Marchman acted you. They forced you into treatment, right? The court, yeah, right. The court brought you here. So if you leave, you go to jail, right? Cool, cool. Would you rather be here than in jail? Is this where you'd rather be? Okay, cool. I got you. Yeah, I think I'd rather be here than in jail. Okay. No, it's not the Taj Mahal. I understand. So, what's going on? How you feeling today? What's going on? Embarrassed, embarrassed, embarrassed. Yeah. Feel guilty. Yeah. Yeah. Um, so you think it's your fault? Think why you're here? So let me just say to you, I didn't look at it a lot, but I've looked at your chart. Um, kind of know where you come from. I would say to you that looking at your chart and talking to staff, we would say, yeah, this is where she's going to end up. Um, Not inevitable, but very likely and predictable. What do I mean? So, so we have this list of things that are kind of show up a lot in people who end up in detox, who end up with drug problems. So we have this, these things. So let me go through it really quick. See if I can remember. There's 6 of them. One is early separation from the birth mother, people who are adopted. Very common. There's something really important that happens when, the baby's separated from the birth mother. There's just that wonderful initial relationship with the caregiver is taken away. And yes, people are adopted, and it's good, and they're the adopted parents, but there's something about the birth mother, that thing. And I know you don't have any children, but you can imagine what that's like, right? Okay. Sexual abuse, physical abuse, interesting interparental violence is one of the correlates. Interparental violence, early loss of a parent. I remember a young lady who was in treatment, and one of the first people I treated, and she came home at 9 years old, and her father had committed suicide. She found her father, and you can imagine the feelings. Oh my God, for a child, it's not just the trauma, but it's why did he leave me? Profound childhood illness and early loss of a parent. So those are the things that are fairly common. I don't expect you to dump your stuff with me, but I can see by the look on your face that there's at least one of those. So based on that, we would say, yeah, of course. And when people come to treatment, we have to deal with those things. We have to deal with that deep and abiding sense of sadness. We clinically we call it deficiencies in early caregiving, and it's just a word, but it's like I remember a young lady said to me, we were talking kind of like this, and she said to me, "Yeah, thank God for drugs. I would have fucking killed myself." Yeah, and that's what happens. And yeah. So let's do a little exercise. Over the years, people have made statements to me that I go, wow, that surprise me. And we're going to surprise me. Um, so there was a young man, we Marchman acted him years ago, probably 5, 6 years ago. We Marchman acted him, forced him into treatment. He went to treatment, and his parents made the mistake of giving him a carton of cigarettes instead of a pack of cigarettes. And so he sold the carton and he got some money. He cleaned out the window. He bought some drugs and he came back in and he overdosed in the treatment center. He overdosed in the treatment center, right? So I get a call and I go down to the emergency room where he is. He's in the emergency room lying on a cot watching television, IVs and everything. And I looked at him and I said, so David, do you want to die? He goes, no, I don't want to die. And there was a pause. And he looked at me and goes, but you know what? It would be okay if I did. It would be okay if I did. Wow. And I remember the look on his face at that moment because I think he was as surprised as I was. It's like, oh my God, this is not really about getting high anymore. So I wonder if you relate to that. I wonder if you relate to that, sorry. So over the years, there are some other statements that people have made, and I'll see if I can remember them, that kind of surprised me. A woman in treatment one day, she's talking about, she becomes reflective. She goes, it's not that I want to get high. I just can't stand the way I'm feeling. It's not that I want to get high. I just can't stand the way I'm feeling. The other one was, she goes, when they tell me to use this to die, I think, isn't that the point? Yeah, isn't that the point? And I remember looking at her going, yeah, and that's how I say to a group, I say, so when they say to use this to die, I think, isn't that the point? And in a group, sometimes 6 out of the 8 will raise their hand and go, yes, yes. They often say, you're selfish, you're self-centered. No, a lot of people are self-destructive. How about this one? When I hear someone died of an overdose, I think, where can I get some of that shit? Yeah, you can relate to that. Not totally, but on some level, you can relate to that. What's my point? The point is, it's not your fault. You couldn't help it. We look back and go, we could predict this. We know this is predictable. And we live in a society where, they tell you, if you want to feel better, just take something. You go to the doctor and he'll give you stuff. I had a guy, that got clean and sober, and he goes to his therapist, and the therapist gives him some Klonopin, and he's addicted to Klonopin. And first thing you know, of course, that's for anxiety, but pretty soon we get tolerance, and the Klonopin causes the anxiety, and he ends up going to jail for assaulting his wife. He goes, oh my God, and I loved her, and I assaulted my wife. Yeah. Because in our society, people tell us over and over again, yeah, if you don't feel good, take this. Smoke a little weed, have a little drinky poo. I'm in a restaurant with a guy who, years ago, who was sober probably 6 months, and we were having dinner, and the waitress comes over and says, can I get you a drink? And he goes, yeah, I'd like a little drinky poo, but first you need to call the police and the fire department because you'll need both of them. So for us, to use is, it's not cute anymore. It's not cute anymore. Just at your mother for doing the Marchman Act on you. So why do you think she did that? What do you think? To control you? And just let me negotiate with you. Maybe she's thinking it'll save your life. Maybe she thinks it's absolutely her responsibility, because we kind of had 2 things going on here as parents. Either we take control or we let go. The in-between doesn't work. We end up, so she thought it was the right thing to do. Your mother thought it was the right thing to do, yeah. And I work with not only with people in recovery, but I work with their families sometimes. And often we do a family session, and the number of times that a mother will lean forward to go, so when I don't hear from her, I'm waiting for that call, the call that she's dead. And a lot of parents get that. But what's interesting is that while you talk about that you're angry, you said that you feel guilty and ashamed. You know what that's about? A lot of people are just pissed, but you feel guilty and ashamed. You know why? Because you're a good person. First of all, it's not your fault. And the reason you feel bad is because you're a good person. because you actually feel bad about what you did. And I'm going to tell you, you couldn't help it. I'm just saying to you, you couldn't help it. Just like I'll talk to your mother and say your mother did, she's talking about what she's doing. I say to her mother, listen, you're doing the best you can. You're doing all you knew how. You're doing what your parents did. So don't blame yourself. You have to forgive yourself. So in this moment, I got to tell you that the reason you're uncomfortable is because you're a good person. Because down deep inside, there's that little pilot light, that little flicker of life that maybe I can do better. Yeah, I've known people like you, and yes, you can. And people like you have that flickering light in there of recovery that, we want to light it. We want to get, bring that out. We want to peel away the guilt and the shame and have you find down inside that loving person, that person who can find some sense of peace. We often say, it's not that I want to be happy. I just want to be comfortable in my own skin. Yeah. I remember the woman who told me that. She goes, I just want to feel comfortable in my own skin. I thought, yeah, me too. So here's what happens to good people. People with that pilot light, that flicker of good person inside. I remember years after I had a woman in treatment, she came back to me. She says, I remember that day I was sitting in a meeting, and I had talked about what I'd been through. I was sharing in a meeting, and after the meeting, this young woman came up and sat next to me and asked me to be her sponsor. And the reason is that I had been through what she'd been through. And she thought, if you can get through this, I can get through this. And that's what happens. So she said to me, if I hadn't gotten sober, that little girl would have walked in and that chair that she sat next to would be empty. I wouldn't be there. And I needed to be there. So that's when I want to be a pain in the ass with you and say, yes, that there is a chair that you will be in someday when you're in recovery and you're finding your peace and you're talking about what you've been through and how you got through it. And a young woman is going to come and sit next to you and ask you to help her. But if you don't get clean and sober, that she will go there and the person will not be there. And we can't let that happen. We can't let that happen. So I'm a pain in the ass, but I've just challenged you, and you can feel that down inside, and your conscience will tell you that. That's how you feel. Yeah, funny. Feel funny? Yeah, a little less guilt, a little more, do you have some hope? Do you have a little bit of hope? So let's do, can I persuade you to bear with me for a moment? Can we do something a little unexpected? Can you trust me for a minute? So here's what I like to do. So I keep little cards. I don't know whether you like happy flowers or you like calm flowers, a little envelope. These are little, my mother taught me this, little cards, little blank cards. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you this, and here's a pen, and here's a pen, and want you to write a card to your mother. No, I understand. Yeah, just, okay, I got you. But just bear with me for a minute. So just take the card. Okay, pick up the card. Ready? You don't need to start at the top. You can start at the bottom. You're not going to write a lot. Just go. Dear Mom. Now you can pick your own words. Try this. You got two cards. Put down what I want. If you want to change it, you can change it. But do what I suggest. I know I've been a pain in the butt. Well, you can get really serious and say, I've been an asshole, but why don't you just joke a little bit and say, Mom, I've been a pain in the butt. And maybe she'll smile a little bit as we smile. Yeah, you've been a pain. Right. You've been a pain in the butt, like so many others, like we all have been a pain in the butt. I've not been a pain in the butt. Thank you for your patience. No, she hasn't always been patient. I understand. Do you understand what it took for her to go to the court and ask a judge and stand in front of the judge and ask the judge to help her save your life? That took courage, okay? Thanks to your patience. I just want you to know that I'm okay today. Because that's all she really wants to know, is that you're okay today. That's the most important thing to her in the world right now, that you're okay. So I want you to know I'm okay today, and that I love you. Yeah. Just sign it. I remember doing a group with women when we're in treatment that they have me deal with the women and the female therapist deals with the men, catches them off guard or something, I don't know. And I've said this before, and they were talking, and someone, after the conversation, one of the women said, my mother did the best she could. And I remember the woman's name was Morgan, sitting over in the corner. She goes, no, she didn't. And I thought, Morgan, she's screwed. And Morgan said, my mother did the best she knew how. And we now know that our parents do largely what their parents did. No one went to parenting school. So if you do that, and you give me, if you'd like, give me the card, put your mother's address on her. I can look up her address, because she really can't call and find out what's going on, all that HIPAA sort of thing. But it would be really nice if she got that card from you. And I'm going to predict that if she got that card from you, that she would treasure it. And it would be a beginning of a new life for her. But in this moment, I'm hoping that this shift for you will be a beginning. There was a guy years ago, and we were talking about this, and he goes, I thought my problem was that my mother didn't love me. He said, I didn't know how to love my mother. And the other part of that is, for me, if my father's a jerk and I'm his son, I must be a jerk. So I need to find a way to accept my father, or I can't accept myself. And we've kind of been told that. It's far better to love than to be loved. And if someone loves me, they can't express it enough to fill the emptiness. But if I love them, they don't even need to know it. I can feel that, So you want to just go back to your room? Yeah, that's the way it is in detox. It's like, just leave me alone. Let me go sleep. It's been nice to meet you. If there's anything we can do for you, you let us know. And that tech, who's kind of a pain. I know she's a good lady. She just gets tired. She gets tired and exhausted. So if you want to be happy, be nice to her when you go back. Okay? Be really nice to her. And that's what recovery is. It's not about what people do to us. It's how we treat other people. And that's how we begin to recover. Okay? Wonderful to meet you. You know what I would like? Years ago, there was a woman in group, and I remember her. Terrible trauma. She was 21, 22 years old. And when I first saw her in the room, she was sitting in the corner with a pillow in her lap and visibly injured. And she shared her trauma. She had suffered a terrible sexual abuse. But she talked about it in the group, and the women surrounded her. She found out there are other women who do it. And 5 years later, I walk into a restaurant, and she's sitting in the corner with her husband and her 3-year-old son. Now, mind you, she didn't recognize me or remember me, but I remembered her. And that's what I want for you. I want to run into you 8 years from now, and this is behind you, and you have a good life. And I'm saying that to you because it is my opinion, my expert opinion, my professional opinion, that you have that ability. And if I've done my job, you'll walk out of here thinking, maybe you can do this with a little hope, okay? Yeah, okay, you can go. I'm done. That's enough. That's enough. Pleasure to meet you. I hope to encounter you again under different circumstances.